Welcome to our talk today on nutritional influences on children and their behavior. Look at nutrient status and behavior disorders such as ADD and ADHD and how nutrition can affect these behaviors. The cartoon here, children and behaviors, maybe difficult to see, but on Ralph's t-shirt there it says toxic waste disposal site. The two girls are commenting that Ralph eats so much junk food his mother had to make him a special t-shirt with the X marks the spot right on Ralph's gut. So contributing factors to poor nutrition in adults and children is this fast-paced, high-stress lifestyle that we live in today's world. We have very tight schedules. It makes it very difficult to try and sit down and actually prepare a good meal that is nutritious for not just ourselves as adults, but for our children as well. Working families, moms and dads are going off to work, whereas years in past, normally dad would be the one that goes off to work and mom would stay home and she'd be the one cooking the meals. But we don't see that today, and we see a lot more of both parents are going off to work, so now there's not somebody there to take care of making the meals. And also there's very poor nutritional education. Nobody is teaching people about proper nutrition, about vitamins, minerals, and those types of things that help the body and to be at its best as far as health is concerned. So we're finding that in the Journal of the American Dietetics Association 1992, children continue to eat less than perfect diets. Despite growing awareness of the importance of vitamin and mineral status in the prevention of disease today and in the future, children's diets and nutrient intakes are not improving and are actually worse than they were 10 years ago. And this is coming from an article that was written in 1992, and now we're 10 years past that. 15 years actually, and so we're looking at children's diets haven't gotten better, they're getting worse, and they continue to get worse. So they did studies where they had children eating breakfast at schools, and the students who ate the school breakfast had increases of 2% in math, 4% in reading, more than 6% in language skills scores. The children eating breakfast were absent and late for school less often, which the researchers at the Medical Nutrition group, they wrote this article in spring of 1990. So they may mean that a school breakfast program is an important preventative step toward reducing the current epidemic of high school dropouts. The emotional problems of aggression, anxiety, and irritability were more prevalent in children who were hungry. Hungry children were more likely to have clinical levels of dysfunction. This comes from Pediatrics in 1998. Results showed diet was directly related to grade point average. The grade point average decreased as protein intake declined and refined carbohydrate intake increased. This is from the International Journal of Bioscience Research, 1987. Basically, what we mean by refined carbohydrate intake is your processed grains. Every day, nearly 30 million American school children eat lunches provided by the USDA's National School Lunch Program. What they are eating may surprise many parents. Their kids eat lunches packed with calories, fat, sugar, sodium, food additives, and preservatives. That is from Medical Nutrition, spring 1990. And the impact of low food, additive, and sucrose diet on academic performance on 803 New York City public schools back in 1986. This comes from the International Journal of Biosocial Research. The introduction of a diet policy which lowered sucrose, synthetic food color, and flavors, and two preservatives, BHA and BHT in particular, over 4 years in 803 public schools was followed by a 15.7% increase in mean academic percentile ranking, above the rest of the nation's schools, who used the same standardized tests. So just by getting some of the junk out of the kids' diets, they perform better in school. Out of 124,000 children who, before dietary changes, including removal of synthetic colors and flavors and selective preservatives and high-sugar foods, were unable to learn math and grammar, 75,000 were able to perform these basic tasks after dietary changes. After they got rid of the junk, the kids were able to do these learning processes better. During exploratory research in Virginia with 68 criminal children, the total of antisocial acts diminished in 7 months by 80% after changing the diet. This is coming from the International Clinical Nutrition Review of 1988. Written by Alan R. Gabby, medical doctor. Food additives cause hyperactive behavior. The effects of double-blind, placebo-controlled artificial food colorings and benzoate preservative challenge on hyperactivity in a general population sample of preschool children. Essentially said that the study demonstrated that commonly used food additives contribute to hyperactive behavior in children. and that the effect of these additives is not influenced by prior levels of hyperactivity or by atopy. An earlier study in Lancet also showed that food dyes and benzoate preservatives are frequent triggers of hyperactive behavior. In this study, however, common foods such as dairy products, chocolate, grapes, wheat, oranges, and eggs also played a significant role. Once again, stating the fact that foods have an effect on children's behavior. It can cause them to become hyperactive because of the reactions to whatever components or chemicals that are in that food. So this is coming from the British Journal of Psychiatry, 2002. Influence of supplementary vitamin, mineral, and essential fatty acids on the antisocial behavior of young adult prisoners. Results from this study indicate that antisocial behavior, including violence among prisoners, can be reduced by supplementation with vitamins, minerals, and essential fatty acids. Intelligence and Diet. This is written by Jeffrey Bland, PhD. He's a functional medical practitioner. Stated dietary deficiencies are hampering neural function in these children. The nutritional supplement group showed a significant increase in nonverbal intelligence. Dr. Myron Brin had determined that the first signs of vitamin deficiency may be psychological disturbances and changes in mood and behavior, and a number of studies have demonstrated the value of improved vitamin and mineral nutrition in enhancing children's learning ability and behavior. Folks, the brain needs good nutrition. It needs a good fuel supply in order for it to work properly. If you feed it junk, it's not going to work right, and you're going to see those results in the output of the brain, which is, in a lot of cases, hyperactivity. Nearly 2/3 of the calories in the diets of today's children may come from fat, sugar, and white flour. It is not surprising that their trace mineral intake may be compromised. The brain is extremely sensitive to the quality and amount of nutrients it is given. Imbalances or insufficiencies of nutrients have adverse effects upon brain chemistry, leading to chronic behavioral or intelligence disorders. It is difficult to know whether a child that suffers from an attention span disorder, behavioral problem, reduced learning ability, personality issues suffers from these conditions are a result of suboptimal nutrition. When a child is suboptimally nourished, the first signs of insufficiency could be effects on learning, behavior, and mood. The brain requires a rich source of vitamins and minerals from the diet to promote optimal function. And we obtain those nutrients best by consuming an unrefined, fresh, complex variety of foods. So up to this point, what have we been saying is that it's the food that plays a huge part. Right? The combination of poor nutrition, environmental pollutants, allergens, pesticides, and other toxic substances can be a heavy burden on a child's immune and nervous systems. These sensitivities may contribute to behavior and learning problems in children. Moreover, such sensitivities are increasing in number. Food has a huge part to play in children that have ADD and ADHD. Unless it's checked, you won't know. And you'll be treating these kids with wrong treatments, and they won't be getting better. 50% of childhood hyperactivity, learning disabilities, and other behavioral problems could be reduced by deleting synthetic food additives. This comes from the International Journal of Biosocial Research back in 1986. Folks, back in 1986 they were saying this already. Sugar and Behavior. Dr. Mary Ann Block, author of No More ADHD, does allergy testing and develops dietary solutions to behavioral problems. She cites a Journal of Pediatrics study which identified that sucrose may cause a 10 times increase in adrenaline in children, resulting in difficulty concentrating, irritability, and anxiety. This comes from the International Journal of Biosocial Research, 86. Non-sensory influences on mental function, for example, dietary deficiencies, neurotoxic drugs, and pollutants, allergic hypersensitivity, can and do exert powerful influences on the ways in which we think and act. This chemical or non-social dimension and its intimate interaction with social influences is at least partially responsible for the widespread failure to understand, remedy, or prevent some of the most apparently intractable social problems of our times, such as criminality and psychiatric disorders such as anorexia nervosa. Bottom line, when your brain is not healthy, you are not healthy. Your brain needs two things to survive: activation and fuel supply. Fuel supply is nutrition. If you give your body bad nutrition, you get yourself a bad brain. So domains of impairment, what types of things are affected by having a non-nutritious diet, and then what things are affected from a brain standpoint? Well, yeah, your health, injury, substance abuse, sexual behavior, criminality, social functioning, self-esteem, academic, occupational, all of these things can be impaired when your brain's not working properly. And this comes from Dr. J. Lombard. He's a brain behavioral doctor. He practices out in New York. Here are just some of the things that can be a result of attention deficit. This is a result of an area of the brain that's not working properly. It's the prefrontal cortex, area that controls your ability to maintain attention, have a stable mood, the decreased impulsivity, all those things. So there's just once again a quick list of some of the things you'll be craving: compulsive activities such as gambling and eating, hyperactivity, inattention, impulsivity, mood. All these things can be a result of or fall under the guidelines of attention deficit, which basically means that the front part of your brain isn't working well. Drug solutions. All right, it is estimated that 6 to 8 million American children take psychiatric drugs.